done an excellent. You don't need me. You don't need me. You got this. That's all right. You don't need me. You got this. So today we're talking about rounding whole numbers, super simple rounding and estimating. Our objectives for the day are to round whole numbers. Round to estimate sums and differences. Remind me what a sum is. What's a sum? An answer to an addition problem. What's a difference? The answer to a subtraction problem. We are going to solve problems by estimating. When it says solve problems, that means word problems. I've done an excellent. So your first vocabulary word on your guided note sheet is rounding. Rounding a whole number means approximating a number. That's all right. So you should write down approximate. You don't need me. You got this. So today we're talking about rounding whole numbers, super simple rounding and estimating. Our objectives for the day are to round whole numbers. Round to estimate sums and differences. Remind me what a sum is. What's a sum? An answer to an addition problem. What's a difference? Here is a number line to subtraction problem. There is also one on page 32 by estimating. When it says solve problems, when we look at a number on a number line, we need to determine whether it is. So your first vocabulary word on your guided note sheet is rounding. Rounding a whole number means approximating a round up to 30. You should write down approximating. Right? You guys know this rule. Numbers higher than 5, we round up. 52, 2 is below 5, so we round it down to 50. The important part of this lesson is going to be reading the directions and knowing what place we are rounding to, whether it's a 5 or a 10. Or here is a number line to help you. There is also one on page 32 if you need it in your book. When we have 25 on a number line, we need to determine whether it is closer to the lower number or the higher number. Because so when the number is 5 or bigger, and that number is higher than 5, we round up, bounce it up. Right? You guys so you're going to locate the digit to the right of the place value that we're rounding 52. 2 is, remember I said sometimes so you are going to round it down to values, hundreds, thousands, the important part of this lesson is going to be reading the directions right and knowing what place if it is 5 or greater, you round whether up. It's a 5 or less than 5, you replace all the digits to the nearest 100 or to the nearest 1,000. Okay, you're going so let's round this to the nearest 10. When we have 25, 25 has 5, so it is neither closer to the lower number or the higher number. 10. So when the number is 5 or bigger, round that up. The next one is 278,360. So you're going to locate the digit to the right of the place value that we're rounding. What number are we looking at to round? Remember I said sometimes you are going we're going to round the 8. Are we going up or down? Values, hundreds, thousands, 10,000. Or up or stay the same. Looking to the number at the right of that. If it is 5 or greater, you round up. If it is less than 5, you replace all the digits. Same. 0 to the right. Now we're going to round this to the nearest 10. This would become a what? Sum by rounding each number to the nearest 170 because we are looking at rounding. When we estimate, look at the 8 tells us to round that up. We estimate by rounding the addends and the medians. We are rounding to the nearest and the subtrahends. Remember all those words? What number are we looking at to round them so we can approximate? Okay, we're going to round the 8. Are we going up or down? You can just write or up or stay the same. Round the numbers so we can approximate a sum. We're going to stay the same because this 3 tells us the 8 stays the same. What now? Now we're going to estimate a sum by rounding each number to the nearest 100. When we estimate, this is on your vocabulary sheet, So if we are rounding each of these addends to the nearest hundred, 2010 becomes what? Remember all those words from the other day? We round them so we can approximate exactly a sum or a difference. Just becomes 2,000. Right numbers. 2001 becomes what? So we can approximate 2,000. 1,984 becomes what? 2,000. So when we add these together, what do we get? 6,000. That is estimating a sum. Come in, please. So if we are rounding each of these addends to the nearest hundred, so then it shows you a word problem that you are going to use, and we're going to round each score to the nearest 10 to estimate his total score. Just becomes 89 becomes 2001 becomes 90, 92 becomes 2,000, 1,984 becomes what? Stays the same, right? 6,000. So when we add these together, what do we get? 75 becomes, and 89 becomes 6,000. Then we can add all those together. It's easier to add when we estimate, right? Because we have all those zeros at the end. Nice and simple. Please. Look, they're from... know where these places are. This is insane. So then it shows you a word problem that you are going to use, and we're going to round each score to the nearest 10 to estimate his total score. 89 becomes uncertain amount. 90, 92 becomes. So Tasha Kilby is trying to estimate how far it is from Gove, Kansas. Stays the same, right? 67 becomes on the map to the nearest 10. 75 and estimate our differences. And so 89 becomes Gove to Grainfield is. Then we can add all those 11 and here to add when we Grainfield to Quinter is right? 16. Because we have all those zeros at the end. To Waukene is 19 and Waukene to Hayes is 31. Look, we're going to estimate these numbers. These places are. So we can add them easier. Round them to the nearest 10. So how far is it from Gove to Hayes? Approximately. I'm certain a map would not lie. Doesn't matter how fast. So Tasha Kilby is trying to estimate how far it is from Gove, Kansas to Hayes, Kansas. Round each distance on the map 80 it is, and estimate our differences. So we're going from Gove to Grainfield is seeing that example 11, and then Grainfield to Quinter is 16. We are ready for our to Waukene is 19 and Waukene to Hayes is 31. We're going to estimate these numbers. So you do have one vocabulary word left. That is add exact. Them easier. What does exact mean? Round them to the nearest 10. So how far is it from Gove to Hayes? So flip over to the back of your paper and let's work through some of these together. Doesn't matter how fast I'm driving. When we round 57 to the nearest 10, it becomes 60. 80. It is when we round 641 to the nearest 10, it becomes. We're skipping that example. And we are ready for our assignment today. 640. Today is want to keep that line the same, not bump it down. Oh, you do have one vocabulary word now left. That is exact. What is exact? 9,222. That becomes 9,000. Not an estimation. 6,000. So 600 to the back of the paper, and let's work through some of these together. When we round 57 to the nearest 10, it becomes 60. When we round 641 to the nearest 10, it becomes. It is. And Mrs. Todd, if you'll notice on your key there, I left off a 0. 640. 640. Sorry, that's an incorrect. Want to keep that 4 the same, not bump it down. That's not right. Now we're going to round to the nearest 1,000. We have 9,222. That becomes. Now we're going to estimate a sum or a difference by rounding each number to the nearest 671,800. But we're actually going to round this to the nearest 10. Round each number to the nearest 10 to find an estimated sum. So 49 becomes, we're only rounding to the nearest 1,000. 32 becomes, 51 becomes,
and Mrs. Todd, if you'll notice,
98 becomes,
left off a 0.
100. And we're going to add those together. Sorry, that's an incorrect answer key. That's not right. Yes, so our estimated total is 260. Now we're going to estimate a sum or a difference by rounding each number to the nearest 100. But we're actually going to round next one, it says we're going to round each number to the nearest 1,000 and 10 to find an estimated sum. So 49 becomes, 25 becomes, subtract. So 3,785 becomes, 98 becomes, 4,000, 2,479 becomes. When we subtract those, what do we get as an answer? 2,000. Next is our word problem review. So our estimated total is, in 2015, there were 2,930 reported cases of mumps, 18,166 reported cases of whooping cough, and 189 reported
Next
cases
one, it
of
says we're
measles.
going to round each number to the nearest 1,000
and estimate a difference. A
difference means we're
to
going to
estimate the total number of cases reported for these preventable diseases. So 3,785 becomes 4,000, 2,479 becomes. When we subtract those, what do we get as an answer? 2,000. Next is our word problem review. In 2015, there were 2,930 reported cases of mumps, 18,166 reported cases of whooping cough. So what numbers?
There's lots of numbers in that word problem.
What numbers are we rounding? Round each number to the nearest 1,000 to estimate the total number of cases. What do we round that to? These preventable diseases. Okay, 18,166 gets rounded to 18,000. But are we rounding to the hundreds place? No, so we're rounding to the thousands place. So what does that become? 0. It actually just becomes a 0. We don't even add those numbers in. I know, right? So what numbers? There's lots of numbers in that word problem. What numbers are we rounding? You would round it up. If it was 500 or more, we'd bump it up to 1,000. We are rounding 2,930. What do we round that to? So what is the total number of preventable diseases reported in 2015? Okay, 18,166 gets rounded to 18,000. All right, now you may do your online assignment. But are we rounding to the hundreds place? No, so we're rounding to the thousands place. So what does that become? 0. It actually just becomes a 0. We don't even add those numbers in. I know, right? Crazy. You would round it up. If it was 500 or more, we'd bump it up to 1,000. Because it's under 500, we don't even count those. So what is the total number of preventable diseases reported in 2015? 21,000. All right, now you may do your online assignment.